Recently I did a review of the Royal Kludge RK89, and one of the main features that this keyboard offers that I briefly talked about was its mod-friendly design, though I never really got to showcase that in this review. So for this video, what I'll be showing you guys are the mods I will be doing to this keyboard, such as installing aftermarket switches, keycaps, and more. Let's get into it. Hey, if you enjoy content like this, drop a like, make sure to subscribe, and smash that bell so you never miss another video. Hey, what is going on guys, Danny here, welcome back to the channel and I hope you've all been doing well. This is going to be a follow-up to my RK89 review. Similarly to how I modded my Royal Kludge RK86, I'm going to be applying the same kinds of mods. This will change how the keyboard looks, how it sounds, and also how it feels when typing on it. The way Royal Kludge's keyboards sound and feel out of the box isn't too bad, I'd say they definitely punch above their weight. However, with how easy they are to work with in regards to modding, they're practically begging the user to apply their own mods. The Royal Kludge RK89, as I pointed out in my review, has a hot swappable PCB, which supports 3-pin and 5-pin switches, which allows the user to customize the keyboard using various switches that are out on the market. So the mods that I'll be applying to this keyboard are pretty simple mods. I'll be replacing the stock RK Browns with Akko's CES Rose Red switches. Now these are linear switches, and out of the box I'd say they feel pretty decent even without lube. It's got a translucent top housing which I believe is made from polycarbonate. The bottom half of the housing is also pink but not translucent, and it's made from nylon. And they have an operating force of 43 grams, 3.5 millimeters of total travel, with 1.9 millimeters of pre-travel. I picked up a 45-piece kit from Amazon on sale for about 12 bucks Canadian, which definitely isn't too bad. Here in Canada, finding switches for a decent price can be a bit tough, so I didn't hesitate on picking these up. Next up, we've also got new keycaps from Akko. This keycap set is known as Wave, and it's got a mixture of dark green, bottle green, and some lime green colors. The keycaps themselves also feel great, they're smooth and high quality. They are double shot PBT and they're fairly thick, noticeably thicker than the stock ABS keycaps that came with the RK89, that's for sure. The font on these keycaps is totally legible and I have no complaints about it. Then I've also got this can of spray paint which I'll be using to spray paint the frame of the keyboard, and then a roll of painter's tape to which I'll be using to apply the Tempest tape mod. It's a great mod that adds a thockier sound profile. So those are all the mods I'll be applying to this keyboard. I'm not going to be doing anything else like foam modding, as it already comes with 2 layers of foam, and the stabilizers I found were already pretty well lubed and tuned decently out of the box. I started off by removing all the keycaps from the keyboard. Royal Kludge actually includes a tool in the box with their keyboards which has a keycap puller on one end and then a switch puller on the other end, which I think is pretty cool that they give you this tool so you can get modding right away. After I took the keycaps off, it was time to remove the switches. Just like with removing the keycaps, this was a fairly straightforward process. The tool made this part really easy. After that, I had used a screwdriver from a precision screwdriver kit to remove the screws holding the plate and PCB to the case. There are a total of 12 screws on the front. There's one hidden underneath the Royal Kludge badge, and there is also one screw that you have to remove which is hidden underneath the rubber feet at the bottom of the keyboard. After the screws were all removed, the plate along with the PCB should come right out, and you'll want to be careful here since there are 2 thin wires connected to the PCB, and you don't want to end up ripping those out. Once the PCB was taken out, I flipped it around and started to apply the tape mod. Just like what I did with the RK96, I ended up going for 3 layers here, and one thing I did a bit differently this time was when I applied each layer, I made sure to firmly press down on the tape and made sure it was fully adhering to the PCB and the space between the switch mounts. Before moving on to the next layer, I would take a razor knife and cut around the ports where the cables for the LED and battery would connect, as well as cutting around the toggle switches to turn the keyboard on and off, and the switch between the different wireless modes. I then took a thin shaft screwdriver and poked holes where the screws would go to make my life easier when putting the keyboard back together. After doing the first layer, it was just a matter of repeating the steps 2 more times for the second and third layers. After that, all I had to do was put the PCB and plate back into the case and screw it back down. The 3 layers of tape did make it a tighter fit, and I did have to press down on the plate with a bit of force, but it went back in eventually, and I didn't have any issues installing the screws. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention, get yourself a magnetic parts tray. It will make your life so much easier. Once that was completed, I installed the new Akko CS Rose Red switches. Now one trick that someone told me online was when installing the switches, you want to gently drop them in place first, and when you can see that they've aligned with the mounting holes, then they should just go in very easily. Last time I made the mistake of not doing that, I ended up bending a lot more pins than I'd like to admit. However, with this attempt, by taking my time and carefully aligning the pins with the holes, I didn't end up bending any pins, and all the switches registered perfectly. Moving on, and it was time to install the new Akko Wave keycaps. One thing I noticed while installing these new keycaps was that they have a pretty tight fit, and they took just a tad bit more force than I'm used to when installing other sets, but overall it was a pretty straightforward process. Alright guys, here's the final look of the keyboard. Didn't have time to show how I painted the frame, but it was a pretty simple spray painting process of using multiple lighter coats. But I really like the way this turned out. I was afraid maybe I'd chosen a color that was a bit too light for the frame, but I think the brighter green tone really complements the darker colored keycaps. Compared to how the keyboard looked at stock, this look I gotta say has a really premium appeal to it. Not to harp on the simplicity of Royal Kludge's design, but it was just too plain and dull looking. But with the combination of the painted frame and the gorgeous looking keycaps, I think it really brought some life into this keyboard. Apart from the looks, the keycaps themselves feel amazing to type on. I'm a huge fan of the ASA profile, I just find it so much more comfortable to type on. As for how they sound, well, let's just do a quick sound test comparison between the stock typing test versus the modded version, and I'll let you guys be the judge of that. So after taking a listen to the sound test, I gotta say the sound profile has changed quite drastically. Stock, the keyboard had a lighter pitched, clackier sound, whereas with the linear Akko CS Rose Red switches, the double shot PBT keycaps, and the tape mod, the board has a much more deeper, thockier sound, which is personally how I prefer my keyboards to sound. So there you guys have it, my RK89 modding video. Like I said, really happy with the way this keyboard turned out after the mods. It's really great to type on and sounds awesome as well. If you are interested in picking up the RK89 and are interested in picking up similar items to mod your keyboard, I'll have some affiliate links down in the video description. Stay tuned because I've got a few more keyboards I'll be taking a look at in the near future. If you guys found this video to be informative and entertaining, then leave a like. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Be sure to check out the video description for cool links and ways to support the channel, such as using my Amazon affiliate link. And if you're interested in seeing more content like this, then consider subscribing, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.